Hey guys, welcome to J Plays. I'm Iceman, and welcome to the latest devlog in my work of Nanatama Chronicle of Dungeon Maker, or as I like to call it, Dungeon Maker 3 for the Sony PSP. Alright, so what work has been done? Let me bring up my notes. So the previous demo that I put up covered up until the end of day 15, which is already a sizable chunk of the game. By this point, it sort of delves into the second floor, the first and second floors that you're going to. So since that point in time, I've played an additional, let me see. So I've done from day 16. Currently, I've got everything translated up until day 22, the end of day 22. Other than one thing, and I'm gonna actually. In a taste of something different, I'm going to actually take you through the process that I go through in actually translating stuff. You'll actually get to see me do one of it on the fly. But before I do that, okay, so a lot of the stuff that's been done is been more just translating conversations, of which there's been a few long ones, but it's mostly just monsters, items and equipment, new room types, new meals that you get. For example, if I go back to my townhouse at the moment, there was 2 new ones on this last day that you unlock. You unlock, what is it? Fried Tail, which is a good one for, getting HP, bit of strength, bit of MP. And Leaf Biscuit, that gives you a much larger amount of MP, so MP plus 6. Before this, the best one was like MP plus 3, so double is good. Also, yeah, so that's meals. Some more ingredients have been translated, so you see where it says GALR.LVS, so that's green alrune leaves. That's what it's supposed to be. This one's supposed to, the SO, which it sucks I can only put SO, but I was limited to 2 letters. It's supposed to be snake oil. So you tell me, how do you say snake oil in 2 letters? You can't. That is the answer. So, unfortunately, that's what I just have to do. So, yeah, so a lot of that stuff's been done. Some basic equipment's been done. But new things you get, for example, I've got the jade bangle now. That's a new one you'd get on the second floor from one of the enemies, this green slime thing. We also have the bronze shield that you get now, which is an upgraded shield that you can use. And that's about it, I think, with those things. So we've got a few more things translated in the monster file. So that's M file. Now I just got to try and remember what I translated. Oh, this one I think I should bring up my notes. Give me a second to bring that up. It's always much easier when I've got that to look at. Okay, so far in this version, it's been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 monsters have been translated. So there's now Cave Snake. Cave Snake is this one, and here's the one we're going to be doing in this video, by the way. So I haven't translated that one yet, but I'm going to take you through the process of what I do to do that. Alright, so here's Cave Snake. So Cave Snake is large with sharp fangs. It lives in caves. Let me see, you've got Grass Bug. That's a wind variant of the standard poison bug. What have I got that as? Grass Bug. There we go. So Grass Bug, often seen in grasslands. We got Grass Slime. So Grass Slime, who gained wind attribute from grasslands. That's the one that drops the jade bangle that I've got at the moment. We've got a hold plant. This is one of the side quest ones. So unfortunately, there's only so much space I could move the stuff across, so I couldn't get it all the way across. If only if I could just move that wind area down a little bit. Anyway. So that's hold plant. Then we have kobolds. So if you've played the previous 2 games, kobolds should be a enemy you know well and truly. So kobolds are a dog-like human beast that is highly intelligent. So, you know, you very often take these on in the game. Very, very common. They are a common enemy in this game. And then we have Leisure. That's a new one for Nanatama. This is another one that you gain through a side quest. So I haven't encountered this enemy yet, but here's what I've translated so far. And this is another Nanatama specific feature where NPCs can give you side quests. And now, by the way, side quests were in the other games too, but you didn't have a monster file, so that's the big difference. So now you can have a kind of a dark outline impression of what a enemy will look like. Let me see. Other than that, quests have been translated. So there's now a Weasel's Scythe quest where you have to try. If you remember the enemy I just had up on screen, so I think it's from that one we need to try and get a scythe item to drop. I haven't encountered it yet though, so as I said, we've had a stack of conversations translated. We have armor pieces of Bandit Fold, Bronze Shield, and Jade Bengal been translated. A whole heap of new corridor types have been translated, and room types. You'll get to see that later on in this video. I'll show you. I've been showing you the first level a lot, so I'm going to skip that one and show you mostly the second and third floors that I'm working on and kind of playing and translating. The rest is more just occasional stuff. Some extra strategy notes have been translated, and the conversations that go with them, and some extra player abilities that you get. So we've now got, let me see, player, club. Is it this one? Play, club, repel. Oh, this one. So that, yeah, so that's translated. For Field, the character of Field, there's now an extra water ability that I've unlocked for her. And I think that's about it. Okay. So, let's take you through the process that I go through to translate something. So, if you remember in the monster file... Oops. Let's go to monster file. So we have this entry here. So let me change over to sharing my whole screen. Now I'm gonna crop this later because I don't want you seeing my, you know, you don't need to see my whole desktop and all that kind of stuff, you know. But anyway, let me just switch off window capture and go to display mode. Alright. Does that look the same? Yeah, it looks the same. Okay. Alright. So, the process I go through for translating stuff is, a lot of it's like taking screenshots and then, and let me just put the volume down a little bit. Yeah, taking screenshots and then just popping that, like taking the text from the images, finding out what those words mean, and then trying to get that to fit that to be what the name would be. So if we see this one, for example, I'm going to go window mode. Alright, if we go here, now if I jump into Paint, what I do is I then come here and I grab this. That now gives me a file I can use and save to grab the text from. There's probably more efficient ways of doing this, but that's just the way that I know. Let's call this Monster 1 for now, because I don't know what it is. Now, Google Translate is very nifty for translating images. So what I do is I go here, and with that file we called Monster, alright, so we have that. The next thing I usually do is I then bring up my translation. No, I don't need that one. I bring up my text file. I'll drag it over here because you can't see what I'm working on. Here we go. So I jump into here. Then, let's see, I go down to my monster list. As you can see, this is very well organized. Actually, I should translate, see what this is. Green Elrion. Okay, or Elron. I don't know how you pronounce that word. Alright, so Green Elrion. Pop that in there. Grab the English bit there. So I'm mostly doing it this way. I just want to give you, I'm just doing something different for this devblog. I'm just showing you how I develop stuff. So if you've got like any interest in like developing things and like to see a project from beginning to end in the process that is taken in order to go about that process, then, you know, that's what this is all about. Anyway, 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we know that takes up 9 letters, and we can double check for sure, because I've noticed that if you look at the amount of, it says there's 10 letters, you do -1 from whatever that amount is, so that really means there's 9. So okay, well, there's 9. Alright, now the last time we had an Elrion, I named it, I'm trying to keep the naming similar, so we called it Olran. Kind of makes it a bit easier. So we can just go. Now Olran took up 5 letters. Yep, that works. So we can go gr.elran, as in, you know, green Elran. And I marked that down as being 8. Sticking to what oops. Over here. I've got my little nifty little, that's not that one. Grab the G. Because the thing is, I'm using it's different kind of fonts that are used for this. It's not like your standard letters on a keyboard. It's like so not like if I was to type a normal G, that's a normal G. Whereas if you put the other one next to it, can you see that this one takes up like a little bit more width on the screen than the one next to it? Because like the one, this one takes up like, and you'll see when I'm hex editing it a little bit later. This one takes up, I think it's like a 4-bit address or something like that. And whereas a larger one, like the Japanese, like, and Roman, I think they call them Roman font or something like that, letters, take up 8. So they take up like, you'll see what I mean in a minute anyway. But they take up more space is what the point is. So once we've got our word done, the next is working out where we're going to place it. So we need to find out where in the hexadecimal code, or hex code I should say, that this entry will go within. So first it's a case of grabbing the text that we know is currently in use in the game, finding its entry. Luckily I was able to find it straight away. See, great, and it's got, and with these particular ones the game actually has English already bits there, but just done in the smaller fonts. Unfortunately, I can't just get the game to just read those ones. I don't know how to do that. Beyond my skill level. But anyway, so if you can see the area that lit up when I did it, it's saying that the hex address that that word takes up is from 003 E5 300 to 003 E5 310. So I pop those down here for my future reference, so that if I ever want to come back, I'll know exactly where in the code to go to. Then we can pop this in right there. It's actually a letter left over. Did that take up more letters than that? Maybe I did the wrong one. There we go. Oh, that's right, this is 8. Okay. Oh yeah, we got a letter spare. Now the only problem is, this does happen to me sometimes. It's not always, you don't always have to use up every letter, because sometimes there's no point. Well, I guess I could just go GRN for green. Alright, let's change it to that. To me, GR would have been probably sufficient. There we go. Alright, now that takes up the amount of letters that we want. Okay, so we've now done that. We now need to test it to see if that actually works. So what I do is I come in here, grab the file, chuck that in there, then in UMD generator. Mind how fast I'm going, because I do this so often. Now, if we now go and run the game, what should happen, if I did it properly, and yes, I saved, then this should now have that translated, at least name in place, and then the next process will be to get the description of the monster that needs translating. So if we check monster file, there it is, and that's now, the name's now changed, no longer showing like Japanese kanji letters, I think that's what you call it, and change that now to like English kind of alphabet letters, but ones that take up a lot of space. So that's the first step done. Now I know the name of the monster, so if I go into my files, I can now just rename it, just for my own safekeeping, so I'll know. If I find monster, alright, that's done. So the next bit is to translate that text. Now this is the part where we often have to trim things down a bit, unfortunately. It's just that in English the letters just take up way more space than what they do in Japanese. Alright, so under green Elrian, which I can then pop into this again. It doesn't like it because I changed the name of the original file it had open. Okay, so now we've got this basic text that we can now take and pop that in there. From that, I don't like that very much. No one has spaces in it. Okay. I'm gonna grab the actual one from the hex code, because we know that from this point to where the first blue point is, that's the actual text that we need. So now, if I go in, I can just pop it in, and now we'll be without spaces. That's better. Okay, now I've got a better idea of how much room it takes up. So it takes up 48. There's always whatever the number is that you see down here, -1. So it's 48. is what we have to work with. Now we already know that we're working with. I always like to have the name in the description. So that's already taking up, 13 characters. Let's see what that actually translates to be in English. Okay, so in English that says, Elrian grows under the influence of wind. Wind and plants go well together, so this may be the species you'll see the most. I'll say, okay, so green Elrian. Now this is the thing that I run into a lot of the time. So even doing that left us with only... So we've now used 38 out of 48 just from saying green Elrian under influence of wind. Let's see. So even saying most common takes up more letters than I can use. Sometimes you just have to leave it short and just leave the letter spare, which is unfortunate. Even though there's like 10 letters that we have available to us. Yeah, even saying very common just doesn't fit. So sometimes I just have to leave it like this, where it's just like, you're leaving about 10 letters spare. Not everything fits, fortunately. Alright, so for the hex, anyway, so just like we did with the title, we need to, I always like to note down what the hex addresses of everything is, so that if I ever want to come back, do a change again later, I've got that address ready for me. So we can see here, this highlighted section, so it begins at 003 E5 320 and ends 003 E5 380. Well, 80. Okay. So the next thing I like to do try and get these both on the screen at the same time. So with that up, I've created like a glossary that is basically like my dictionary. Speeds things up big time. So whenever I want to grab a word, rather than having to individually get each letter in this font type, which would take forever if I was doing anything like that, instead I can just flick through the glossary or my dictionary and grab the word that I want. So like if I want to change that to in the right font type, green. L1. Under. Influence. And I actually like to use the full stop from the Japanese kanji one. It tends to work better with the game code. I don't know why. And it tends to look nicer too. So I leave it like that. Anyway, so now we've got that translate in the right font. Now we need to just pop it into the hex code. So if I did the same thing again. There it is. Normally I would have it on another screen, but I'll keep it up so that you can see what I'm doing. Green. Now I've got it memorized at this point. If you anytime you want to do a space, it's like 8140 in hex code. Influence. I so wish I could just type it, but you just can't. Like if I was to do that now, let's say, do you see how that goes? That's in a normal type font that takes up a normal amount of spaces, and that's just not what these letters in kanji do. They don't. So that doesn't work. Believe me, I have tried. Once. Wind. Now you might think, oh, that looks pretty easy. Well, yes it is, like, once you've got the thing worked out. But there's an extra step that was going to be most likely coming up. You get to see that just... Let me tell you, I did it again. There you go. You have to be really careful when you do this stuff. I'm doing it totally through like hex editing. Apparently, like what are the more professional, the actual people with experience, not like me, do is use they actually get they set up some kind of parser, I think they call it, or a program that automatically inserts it for them rather than them having to do it the way that I do it. It's just that I'm a complete noob at this stuff. I totally say I am. I've not done this kind of work before. I'm doing it only because I'm a passionate fan of the Dungeon Maker games. So, you know. Anyway. First we need to test what we've just done. So first I need to grab that file again. This is why I do it so fast, because it's so... You have to do this on repetition so often. Jump back in here. Redo the UMD. Now, chances are that we're going to have certain words that just crop off the screen, as in like they get passed into the next section. And one good thing, if you leave a couple of letters free, that gives you a little bit of room to move with in making things, like format-wise, look a bit nicer. So if we look at how that looks in the game now, we might get lucky, maybe it just works. Sometimes that happens. Often that doesn't happen though. Green L. Alright. Oh, actually, we got lucky. Only needs a very slight format change. Let's go larger size. So you see the green, the top, and by the way, in Japanese kanji, they always put a singular space in front of every first sentence, like, in a paragraph. So I've been taking advantage of that, because every now and then that gives me like one extra letter to play with. I would rather have something that looks a bit funny on screen, but gives me more letters to play with, than be restricted, you know? Give me space where I can have it. Anyway, so this first line, green Alrune, works fine. Under influence also works fine, but then the of wind is off very slightly. So we can move that one more off to the side to make it visually look better. I do a lot of this when I'm doing this stuff. So it just means redoing that little bit just to make it look better. Okay. Of. Technically, it gives me another letter to play with as well. It means we've got actually 11 letters to play with. Sometimes that means I can do an extra word, or like a couple of words or a sentence. I don't think it helps us with time. Sometimes if I just sit here and I type it out, M-O-S-T space C-O-M-M-N. Yeah. See, most common needs a full stop at the end of it, so I won't do it. But I can do that. Sometimes I do it. Sometimes I'll leave out the full stop. But the thing is, if you just say most common, it's like, well, most common what? You'd want to say most common type of Alrune, and then you just don't have that room available, unfortunately. That's the constraints I work with. Sometimes constraints are fun. It's what you do in the spaces that you're limited within. So sometimes you can create things that actually turn out pretty good. Other times it's like where only the person who made it will understand it all. But that's why I make all these text files and things that I'm including with this, so that you can actually kind of use it like a game fac if you want, and also just seeing what the abbreviated versions actually mean, like in full wording actually mean. Anyway, let's go back in. It should now look good. Should. Sometimes you get funky game behavior. I haven't had that happen often. I've only had that happen to me about twice, where the game's just expecting something at a very specific point in a sentence, and so things can just look a bit funky, but it doesn't happen very often. It hasn't happened this time, so we're lucky. Anyway, so now you see, now it looks a lot better. I think that looks a lot better, personally. Like to me, visually, that looks far superior. Okay? Anyway, so that's done, which means my work on day number, I think it's 22, I think we're up to. And I always like to keep a backup of where the game is currently at. In the demo, you don't have access to these, but you've seen what I'm doing in the back end. Always good to have a backup, so that you've got a fallback point to roll back to from wherever the last change you did was. Like if you're ever doing a project, it's always good to have backups to roll you back one step, or sometimes more steps, because that can save you a lot of time. Anyways, okay, so with that, so day number, I can even check in the game. Day number 22. So those are those fully translated of everything I've been able to find. The only exception to the rule, I'll show you, is some of these new things that have popped up for dungeon topics. So I've got to there done. So those ones are done. I haven't got this one done. Monster faves has already been done. Compatibility, protective influences are done. But these two aren't. So there's about 3 entries left in here currently. Oh, 4. 4 actually. There's another one has appeared. So more appear in here, like for Sophia to give you stuff that appears in the strategy notes section, which is over. So check strategy notes. So you can just pay for and then add stuff to this. Now I could have been putting them in here myself, but the thing is that, you know, I want to know the order, the actual order that they're in, so that when in the FAQ file, that's done. One other thing I'll do before I go into showing you what work's been done on the current bits, what I always do and make a point of doing always, whenever I've added something new in, I add it to the overall FAQ that's in here. So that was a... That's too long. And I grab the description from here. I update this information. Actually, no, Koreans are... I like to have the information up while I'm doing this so that the information is accurate. Just need to take the emulator off screen for a sec so I can... The beauties of having two screens. Two screens, oh my god, is like a real game changer. Anyway, we know that the green... I can see in the monster file. It appears in habitat level 2. That's that pink thing here. Don't know what these stand for. Let me see what's up there. So it appears in level 2F currently, and it drops. There we go. FAQ almost finished. The other thing I like to do is to translate that. I mean, not translate that, but like put that in there. Okay, so that's just showing you a piece of like what it's like actually working on this. I'm probably making it look very easy. Most of it is. The tricky part sometimes when you come across words or things and you just... or a sentence, and then trying to say that when you're condensed into a short amount of letters, that's the hardest thing. It's like having a puzzle game in a sense, you know? Just going back to window mode. There we go. Okay, so, because I don't think you need to see any more of my screens to see what's happening. So, alright, let's take you through the work that's been done on the game as of this point in time. Can I save before I do this? Now note, I have not tested anything from this point forward. So, pardon me. So anything from day 23 I haven't done. So, but we're going to delve into it, because I need to go into the daytime so I can take you to the dungeon. So there's a high chance we're probably going to run into at least some townspeople that will be saying stuff in Japanese. So, be prepared. Okay. Not saving, but we're going to the next day. Let's see how many people talk in Japanese. He's good. Now, for once, I'm not going to go into placing things. Yep, almost there. Only 2 NPCs left. Ooh, 1 left. I had many days like this, by the way, where I start the day off and then it'll be like literally like 1 person or no one that talks. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. Oh, you gave us something. What did you give us? He gave us a new quest to complete. Alright, I'll translate that later. So that's stuff for later. If you go to this day, know that you may encounter that conversation, which I haven't translated yet. In the demo that I'll be releasing after I finish this one. Let's go the harder version. Let's go to the Dimension Door version. Oh, have I saved? I don't think I have. Actually, so I'll have to go normal version. Yeah, I haven't saved. Okay. let's go straight to the dungeon. Now, I'm only going to show you the second and third because the first floor I've kind of showed it to death in the previous videos. So here we have in the second floor, I'm currently turning this one over to, and I'll pop the volume up a little bit more. I'm currently converting it over to wind because there's a attribute room that you place, which then, once there's enough of the wind element in a place, the game's been telling me, it'll open up a portal to like a wind dimension. And I know that from the second Dungeon Keeper game, that did the same thing. Here's some of the wind enemies that start appearing once you start placing wind stuff. So we've got the grass bug. And if you're wondering, no, I didn't translate the little text things that are up the top. That's the game doing that already. Like, it had those already in it. Makes me think this game may have been planned to be in English at some point, but then that just got dropped at some point in development. I'd be very curious if there is a build of this that actually was translated by the devs though. Currently placing this type of new room that is like this one you do have in Dungeon Maker 2 at the very least. I can't remember if this is in 1. It's like called a weather vane room. It's like so where the monsters can only enter through one side. So the way that I came in, that's the only way that monsters are. They enter it through. How that affects things, I have no idea. But all I know is in this game that affects, like, the more of them you have, the better the rating for the level. Ooh, a door type that I haven't translated. I missed that one. It's gonna be like little things here and there that I miss. It's like, it's so easy to miss stuff. There's just so many variables. Like, so many different ways of doing things, so many things to check. Ooh. Oh, this had to be right now. So here is and this is actually one of the side quest monsters. I've been looking for, like, trying to run into that thing. Okay, now it had to be when I had it on recording. Damn. Okay. So that was this enemy, Kamatari. Yeah, so that was one of the side quests. Yeah, got that done on recording. Now, in the other games, this would be brighter and I would be able to activate it. But in this one, no, can't go there. So it's making me wonder if I do have to instead move my wind stuff to the third floor. I don't know. I don't know. I need to place more wind stuff. I'll just keep doing that. So that enemy we fought before, that's a new one in Nanatama. So this type of room, the grasslands room, this has been present in the other two games, I'm pretty damn sure. I remember going through this in the first two games. Other than that, just got the basic wind corridors. Here's the green Elrians that appear. That was the one that we were translating just before. So there's a few enemy types I'm trying to get to spawn at the moment. Leveled up. So One of them we just got, so that was the... So the Kamatachi, that thing, that was one of them. Poison Tree is the other one. There's a few. Let me think. Okay, so Poison Tree, if you see it blackened, so that's one that I've been given as a rumor, but I need to find it. Cold Plant is another one, and this one, Rafflesia. Those are other ones. All of them are wind-specific enemy types. But as you can see, the game, other than just like little things in here and there, it's basically playable at this point, at least until this point in the game. Like if you're, and even then, if you were playing this like from, if you just started a new character from like today and played to this, it would take you quite a while to get to this point that I've done up to. Like that's a couple of days worth, like actual, real days worth of gameplay already in place. It takes a long time to get to this point. As it does with anything in Dungeon Maker. Man-Eaters, which I've shown previously. That was a side quest related monster, but it was one, I think I showed it in one of the other videos. That appears pretty often now. If I was actually playing this properly right now, I'd be placing wind corridor rooms where I am now. Because that's what I'm in the process of doing on this floor, converting the whole thing over to wind. Okay, that means there's a treasure. These goblins are usually a good source for leather. But I've already got all the armor stuff done for that now. And I prefer the magician's hat cone thingy that I'm wearing at the moment. Gives me better stats than the leather helmet. But they drop leather pretty often. I never get any new stuff in those treasure rooms. One of the Hemaitadis. Wow, can't believe this recording's already gone 51 minutes. I thought it had only been about 20 minutes, but then nope. I guess that process of translating that monster took a while. Time can fly very quickly when you're playing this game though. So, grass slimes, that's another wind-specific enemy type. Alright, looks like we're done with this floor. On to the third one. Won't be a lot to show on the third one, by the way, because I've only just started on it. There's a bit of progress done. It's about 1/4 done at the moment. And when I say me being done, I don't mean translation-wise. I mean, you know, placing stuff. Because I've been mainly concentrating on the second one and getting it converted fully over to wind. Whereas this one, I haven't done really anything that is like element specific. Sometimes I get I run into kobolds on this level. Sometimes I don't. Everything has like a certain percentage chance, and I guess the bigger the floor is, then the more chance you have to run into certain things. I've currently got my habitat level up to 3. That's a feature that's specific in Nanatama. If we check the floor information, we can see it here. So if you see the HB.LV, so that's habitat level. So this one's 3 because the one above it is 2, and the one above that 1. So basically, if you've maxed out the floor above, then the one after it will be like one habitat level better once you get do some stuff on it. And then that changes the types of enemies that you get, because basically there's like different enemies that appear at different habitat levels. And you can find information on that in the text files that I provided. But as you see, there's like still some a lot of stuff that's still the same kind of enemies again. But it's different like every time I come here. Sometimes I come into this level and there's like all new ones, and you know, other times no. Oh, there we go. There's some kobolds. I find fighting these guys, it's best to have some assistance. This is where I use the orb characters. New shield clap. A little better than what I got right now. Nope, no it isn't. Whatever that is. So I hadn't encountered that loot drop before. Oh shit. Leather as well. Ah, cave snakes. So that was something I ran into in my last visit. That's where the snake oil comes from. In the previous game, snake oil came from these flying snakes. Called Quasi-Dodos or something like that. Quasi something. More stuff that's not translated yet. As you can see, because 3 is still a, you know, I'm still like building it up. Still, I am over the moon happy with the work that I've currently got done in place, making the game very much playable. It's just some things don't have the the labels in place. But give it time, I'll have that done. All a process of elimination. As I run across things, I translate them. Now, normally I'd go through the ruins and all that and fight my way through, but let's return back to town. Alright, let's see if anyone talks to us. Kinda curious how many we get that aren't in here. Okay, he had to say a lot, didn't he? Always happens when I'm recording. Okay. He gave us a couple of things. Wow, that's a very long conversation. Probably because I think he was the one that gave us the side quest to do that stuff. And since we finally encountered one of the enemy types. Alright, anyway. So that gives you a taste of, firstly, the work that I do on the project, how it's done, and where things are currently at. I will continue to work on this, and, you'll see more updates in the future. Alright guys, have a good one, and that was Devblog, I think number 18 we're up to now, I think. So, yeah, see you in the future. Alright, guys, have a good one.